Not so long ago I explained that the bulk of Russian forces and resources in the south are concentrated in such a parallelogram. Its purpose is to provide escape routes to Crimea. But then Chonha happened. Or rather a missile or drone strike on one of the two main arteries leading to the peninsula. As you remember, the main idea of the parallelogram was to ensure the most comfortable escape of Russian forces from the mainland south of Ukraine, in the event of a breakthrough of the defense lines by the Ukrainian army. Such a structure ensured the withdrawal of the Russian troops to the Crimea through two main logistic nodes, Armyansk and Chonha. But now something has happened at Chonha, and this something is probably only a prelude to a much more serious action. In fact, in the near future a group of Russian troops may be left without one of the escape routes, and withdrawing the entire group of troops through Armyansk is logistical hell. Look carefully at the structure of the parallelogram again. You see the same thing I do, right? A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And this means that a colossal grouping of Russian troops may be closed down in southern Ukraine, an event unparalleled in modern warfare history. It is now time for the Russian command to organize the flight of its entire horde from the south. Because any delay could be fatal for them. I can advise you from me, just run away. As for the strike, the Russian media showed the wreckage of the Storm Shadow missile, which according to them, struck the Chonha bridge. There was also another strike on the backup bridge over Lake Sivash, which is next to the Chonha bridge. Judging by the hole in the canvas, it was something impressive, probably a proven HIMARS, but it doesn't matter what at all. 3 or 4 more arrivals like that and the equipment won't be able to pass. A familiar story, don't you think? The Kherson scenario comes into play. Gradual and methodical knocking out of logistics and communications, creating such a tension that they would remove themselves, if possible. And there are massive reports in the Russian media that the Ukrainians have broken through here, advanced there. It is impossible to say yet which of them is true and which is imaginary. But fear has many eyes, and fear is a bad advisor in tactical matters. And to the north of Armyansk a new line of defense is urgently erected. One would think why. If the counterattack has already completely failed. That means that they do not rule out a breakthrough by the Afu into the peninsula. But I would like to pay attention to another point in this context, and for this purpose I will mention the Israeli Air Force. When the Israel Defense Forces destroy terrorist targets in multi-story buildings, they initially launch a blank bolt onto the roof of the building. This is how they warn of a strike. This knocking gives the occupants an opportunity to evacuate within 10 to 15 minutes. Then a missile or bomb is struck. Actually, what happened in Chonha should be perceived as a knocking. After all, today the logistics are destroyed near you, and what will happen tomorrow? Thus, while the connection of the peninsula with the mainland south of Ukraine is cutting off, which creates a threat to the southern grouping of Russian troops, the residents of temporarily occupied Crimea have figuratively the very 10 to 15 minutes to evacuate. For after that, only swimming.